you actually got to meet Michael Jackson at some point during the filming of this.
Yeah, but I didn't know it at the time.
What do you mean?
Because he was in disguise.
He also shopped at a nearby gift store that caught the shady disguise on hidden camera before he was stopped by security guards suspicious of his phony-looking mustache.
It was probably about as cheap as you can get. It was kind of crooked. He had to keep straightening it up, and then of course he had the wig on and the teeth, and the disguise worked. He'd be the last person that we would consider Michael Jackson.
Imagine being one of the most recognizable people on the planet, but still wanting to do something as simple as walking through a store without causing complete chaos. For Michael Jackson, that was a genuine problem. At the height of his fame, simply appearing in public could turn an ordinary shopping trip into an event surrounded by fans, photographers, and security. And Michael's solution wasn't always as simple as putting on sunglasses and a baseball cap. Over the years, he experimented with fake mustaches, wigs, prosthetic noses, fake teeth, beards, body padding, surgical masks, veils, and even completely different identities. Some of his disguises became so elaborate that people genuinely had no idea they were standing next to Michael Jackson. One of the most fascinating stories comes from special effects makeup artist Steve Johnson, who worked around Michael during the Bad era. Johnson later described creating 2 elaborate disguises for Michael that weren't intended for a music video at all. They were reportedly designed specifically so Michael could go outside without being recognized. These weren't just hats and sunglasses either. Michael was interested in proper special effects makeup that could alter the recognizable structure of his face. Makeup artist Michael Westmore was also associated with the disguise work, with techniques reportedly including things such as prosthetic noses and dentures that could dramatically change Michael's appearance. What makes the story even more interesting is that Johnson said Michael actually went out in public wearing the finished disguises. According to his account, Michael loved the experience of being able to walk around without everyone immediately knowing who he was. Unfortunately, Michael reportedly didn't want photographs taken of the completed disguises. But Michael also turned his real-life struggle with unwanted attention into entertainment. In Speed Demon, released as part of Moonwalker, Michael finds himself desperately trying to escape an increasingly ridiculous collection of fans and photographers. Eventually, he discovers perhaps the most absurd disguise imaginable. Michael hides inside a giant rabbit costume and emerges as Spike, a leather jacket-wearing motorcycle rabbit. The official Michael Jackson description of the film specifically explains that Michael disguises himself as the rabbit to escape the fans and paparazzi chasing him. It was obviously comedy, but there's something strangely autobiographical about it. Michael was making a film about being unable to move freely because everybody recognized him, while in his actual life, makeup artists were helping him experiment with disguises for essentially the same reason. Then came perhaps the greatest real-life Michael Jackson disguise story of them all. On May 1st, 1989, Michael entered a Zales jewelry store in Simi Valley, California, wearing a bulky wig, fake-looking teeth, a false mustache, and a red baseball cap. Amazingly, the disguise actually worked. The employees didn't recognize him. There was just one problem. They thought he looked suspicious. One employee noticed Michael repeatedly adjusting his fake mustache while looking into a mirror. Another Zales store had recently been robbed by disguised men, so employees became concerned enough to call security. A security guard confronted the mysterious shopper and asked why he was wearing a false mustache. Michael finally had to explain that he was in disguise because he was Michael Jackson. The guard apparently wasn't immediately convinced, so Michael removed the mustache, and people quickly began recognizing him. That's what makes this disguise so hilarious. Michael's plan technically worked perfectly. The world's biggest superstar managed to walk into a jewelry store without anyone recognizing him. He just accidentally made himself look suspicious enough that security was called instead.
Was detained in a jewelry store for being a suspicious character. He told them who he was. They didn't believe him because he didn't look anything like a rock idol. Here's what happened. If you are Michael Jackson, you cannot walk around in public. You'll be mobbed. But sometimes even Jackson wants to go shopping, so he wears a disguise. And that's exactly what he did when he went into this shopping mall in Simi Valley, California. Jackson was in a Zales jewelry store with a 12-year-old friend on Monday pricing rings. The sales clerk at Zales noticed a suspicious character who seemed to be wearing a disguise. The disguised shopper asked a few questions, then went into another store where he was caught on a surveillance video camera. By the time he got back to Zales, mall security and Simi Valley police were on hand to unmask the suspicious shopper. Jackson immediately identified himself and told the officers he wears the disguise when in public to avoid being mobbed. Of course, this is not the first time Jackson has been seen in disguise. He's often been spotted in New York City or when on tour in various costumes. Finally, security believed Jackson. He signed a few autographs and went on his way.
By the early 1990s, Michael apparently began experimenting with even more dramatic characters. Contemporary reporting described him being photographed disguised as a little old man with a beard. This wasn't simply Michael hiding his eyes. The objective was apparently to make people believe they were looking at somebody completely different, and Michael apparently took the character further than just his face. The Los Angeles Times reported that he rented an old pickup truck to complement his little old man appearance. The logic was actually clever. An ordinary old vehicle helped the person inside it blend into the environment, rather than announcing that a superstar had arrived.
He used to disguise himself and use fake names, right?
We certainly disguised him several times, or even snuck him in and out of places by using certain different techniques.
Another disguise documented by contemporary reporting was Michael appearing as a nurse. Unfortunately, there isn't nearly as much reliable footage surrounding this disguise as there is with the Zales incident, so I wouldn't build an elaborate story around an unsourced photograph. But its existence fits perfectly with Michael's overall strategy during this period. Rather than merely hiding recognizable features, he sometimes seems to have tried creating an entirely different character. Contemporary reporting specifically listed the nurse alongside his other disguises, but possibly the craziest transformation happened in 1994. According to a contemporary Los Angeles Times report, Michael appeared in New York disguised as a man approximately 50 pounds heavier than himself, achieved using body padding. And apparently, Michael decided the additional weight wasn't enough. He reportedly completed the disguise with an orange wig and a fedora. Imagine seeing that person walking down the street and somehow being expected to conclude that underneath the padding, orange hair and hat was Michael Jackson. The report was published in May 1994 and described the appearance as having happened the previous month. Michael's disguises weren't always about going shopping. In May 1994, around the period of his relationship with Lisa Marie Presley, Michael visited Walt Disney World in Orlando. Trips like this presented an obvious problem. Michael loved amusement parks, but visiting one normally could become almost impossible once people recognized him. Later that year, Michael and Lisa Marie also visited Disneyland Paris. Unlike some of the questionable disguise photographs circulating online, their presence in Paris is extremely well documented. Crowds gathered beneath their Disneyland hotel balcony, chanting Michael's name until Michael and Lisa Marie eventually appeared.
These amateur pictures allegedly show the couple some 4 days after the wedding with Lisa Marie's children from her former marriage. She says they're looking forward to raising a family of their own. What's not clear is whether Michael Jackson will join his wife in the Church of Scientology, a controversial religious sect.
Sometimes Michael didn't need prosthetics at all. During another strange appearance, paparazzi caught him on a Las Vegas sidewalk beside financier Michael Milken. Michael was apparently trying to resemble an ordinary tourist wearing running shoes while being almost completely covered in black. The funny thing was that Michael's attempts to become ordinary sometimes made him even more noticeable. The Los Angeles Times joked about precisely this problem when discussing his disguises. Michael could hide his face, but a mysterious person completely covered in unusual clothing could attract just as much attention.
Michael's like a king. He was like a modern day king, and we did a lot of fun stuff. I used to just, I couldn't wait to hang out with him when he had a chance. When we had a chance to, but we would do stuff like go to the movies, and Michael was so famous he had to disguise himself, and we would come downstairs. I'd be like, "Where's Michael?" Michael would be covered up like, "I'm over here, Chris, I'm here." I said, "Michael, that's you?" "Yeah, Chris." I said, "I thought we was going to the movies. You're not even dressed." "I am dressed, Chris." "I just can't go in the movies. We got to disguise it a little bit." I said, "Okay." So we go in the movies, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to be secret too. I'm hiding myself. Then Michael laughing louder than anybody. Everybody know Michael's laughing.
Right.
He's like, I was like, "Michael, shut up!"
Eventually, Michael's disguise strategy began changing. Instead of always becoming another character, he increasingly covered the recognizable parts of himself. Sunglasses became common, as did fedoras, scarves, veils, and surgical masks. Contemporary reporting even described Michael wearing surgical masks in different colors. Over time, these coverings became so closely associated with him that they created a strange paradox. The clothes designed to hide Michael Jackson eventually became part of the recognizable Michael Jackson image. Michael's obsession with controlling when people could see him wasn't restricted to shopping trips. During production of Black or White, extensive privacy measures reportedly surrounded the set. Michael could be extremely protective about unfinished work and apparently didn't want outsiders seeing what was happening. One contemporary eyewitness even described Michael arriving at the production with a large mask covering his face as he moved between his limousine and trailer. It's remarkable when you think about it. Michael Jackson was essentially disguising himself while arriving on the set of a Michael Jackson video.
Michael, why you cover your face? Michael. All right, thank you guys. Careful, out the car, out the car. Michael, pray wait. Hey, Michael, thank you. Thank you, we love you, Michael. Right there, thanks, Michael. Thanks, Michael. What are you saying, all right? We love you so much.
Beautiful. I like your jacket, Michael.
Yeah, look at something, Michael. Oh, meu, ele tá saindo agora. No umbrella, dude. No umbrella, man, come on. Make a pathway, make a pathway. Over the shoulder. Come on, Michael. Be careful. She love you, man.
But none of those transformations compare with what happened during Ghosts. Michael didn't simply wear a wig or hide behind sunglasses. Using extensive special effects makeup, he transformed himself into the bizarre elderly mayor, and the transformation was convincing enough that many viewers didn't initially realize Michael was playing him. The makeup completely altered Michael's recognizable silhouette. His body shape changed, his hands were transformed, his hair disappeared beneath a headpiece and wig, and extensive prosthetics rebuilt his face. It was essentially the ultimate version of what Michael's earlier public disguises had been trying to accomplish.
I play that fat, grotesque, ridiculous mayor and I say it in that way because those kind of people, you know, who are just so stubborn, they just don't see the beauty of the inside of a person.
Big face. He's Mr. Right Wing. He's Mr. Establishment. He's Mr. If you're not like me, you're not worth. And he's the guy that really, I'm sorry, none of us like.
And we're going to put it on now. We're going to stretch it over Michael's head.
What is it made out of?
Oh, it's made out of foam rubber. It's very soft, very pliable, like, you know, very much like skin. And slip it on.
Just to make me into a fat, 60-year-old, funky,
50-year-old,
middle American.
Now, how long does it take to put this whole complete makeup on?
It takes about 3 hours.
3 hours, but they're gonna do it in like an hour today. Joking.
And here's where the story gets even better. Makeup artist Richie Alonso later recalled that Michael enjoyed the transformation so much that he actually wanted to go outside while dressed as the mayor. According to Alonso's account, Michael went shopping at a toy store while wearing the disguise. Imagine being inside that store. One of the most famous people alive could have been standing only a few feet away, but instead of Michael Jackson, everybody simply saw an unusual older man. For someone whose appearance normally caused instant chaos, that anonymity must have been an extraordinary experience.
Compels me to move in a certain fashion. Now that's different because when I move, I'm fighting against what's inside of me. For instance, I say to the townspeople, I'm okay, I'm the mayor. Everything's fine. I go, I'm fine. Then something starts to happen inside of me and I'm like fighting the whole time. And then it really gets, you know.
And the mayor wasn't even Michael's most extreme Ghosts transformation. The production also turned him into the horrifying Super Ghoul, using elaborate special effects makeup that distorted practically every recognizable feature of his face. Behind-the-scenes photographs make the transformation even more impressive because you can actually see Michael underneath the layers of makeup. Put those photographs beside the finished footage, and it becomes difficult to believe they're the same person.
Out from that skeleton that is Michael Jackson comes this 8-foot super ghoul, played by Michael.
Are you scared yet?
One of the strangest explanations for Michael's later disguises came after his death. Former bodyguard Bill Whitfield discussed what it was actually like trying to protect Michael while he moved around in public. One of the most memorable stories happened in 2007 while Jackson was living in Las Vegas. Wanting to experience a regular, peaceful evening, his security team came up with a clever plan. They dressed Michael Jackson in full motorcycle gear. He wore a dark-visored motorcycle helmet so no one could see his face. He successfully walked down a few city blocks completely unrecognized like a normal person.
The disguises he used, I know I put him in a all motorcycle outfit. You know, helmet, jacket, pants, boots, gloves, and he walked down Las Vegas Boulevard just looking at things and people and the entertainment out there.
Afterward, an emotional Jackson told his team, "I needed this. I needed to get out of the house and take a walk." And by the 2000s, Michael rarely needed complicated prosthetics to hide himself. His familiar disguise became layers: a wide-brimmed hat or fedora, sunglasses, surgical mask, scarf or veil, oversized clothing, gloves, and sometimes an umbrella shielding him from photographers. There are countless photographs of Michael during this period where almost none of his face is visible. And yet, there was another paradox. After years of appearing this way, the completely covered man, surrounded by bodyguards, actually became recognizable as Michael Jackson.
But there are several times that we used, you know, those big giant crates that they use at tours and concerts that they store equipment in. We've used those to escort him in and out of places, you know, unbeknownst to the public. So we used several decoys and several disguises, several techniques to move him to and from places without anyone knowing.
I can only imagine, man. I know that had to be tiring.
No, he loved it. That part he loved. He liked that sneaky undercover movements. He liked that because we knew, had we just went the regular route, park in front of places and escort him, we knew it would be bad. We operated on a two-man team.
Even during the final months of his life, Michael continued appearing in public almost completely covered. Photographs show the same combination that had evolved over decades: dark glasses, hats, facial coverings, patterned jackets, scarves, and umbrellas. But by then, something interesting had happened.
He would not take no messing around. When he put those glasses on, just ready for business, he was ready. I always say to people when they think, oh, wacko jacko, he's a clown. You don't get to be the most famous man in the world for all those years, record album after record album, sell out stadiums without social media, if you're stupid. He had an intelligence above another level, which made him different to us. He was an absolute genius. The last public event he ever did was with me, funny enough, where they called me the Umbrella Man. And he wanted to raise money for HIV and AIDS. And the Michael Jackson estate tweeted this out. So this might be an indication or a hint of what's coming. They might have someone, might be in the movie. They might have someone playing me with a ponytail. Hopefully he'll be a very handsome person. I don't know. But 2002 was quite a pivotal year. We did lots of public events that year. There was no controversy. 93 was way behind us, and the 2004 case hadn't happened. The baby dangling incident hadn't happened yet. So in Exeter, in the UK, which is about a 40-minute drive from here, a football stadium, we sold out the stadium to raise money for HIV and AIDS. Michael did the most amazing speech about people loving the world, war in the world.
Michael Jackson had spent years developing different ways of becoming unrecognizable, only for those disguises themselves to become recognizable. The fedora, mask, sunglasses, and umbrella practically announced his presence.
So we wanted to stay as secluded and covert as we could, because we knew once people seen him, it was gonna be bad. It was gonna be hard to get him in and out of places, because that's when all the paparazzis would show up, you know, media outlets, or people just want to take pictures and see him. So moving him without anyone knowing, he enjoyed it. We enjoyed it because we didn't want that craziness either.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out our other videos on the screen.